We love Attack on Titan and you should too. Today we're going to be discussing a little bit about each of the three factions of the military and what their function is. Don't worry, we won't be going into any spoilers within this series though. The military has been protected for over 100 years, and to do so, they've had to create three different factions. The corrupt military police, the lazy Garrison faction, and the brave Survey Corps. But who are these teams other than names that get thrown around in the manga and show? Let's discuss them a little more in detail now. Starting off with the military police, since we know so little about them, they are made up of the top 10 graduates from each graduating class of the trainee squad. The military police are tasked with serving as the King's Guard, as well as being the main police force behind the walls. They are also in charge of collecting the taxes and distributing the land to the people. They tend to abuse this ability and exploit resources and food from the civilians. This basically makes them one of the most hated groups in the military. The senior officers even tend to spend most of their time drinking and gambling, making them nearly useless when needed. The next branch of the military is the Garrison. They are the largest faction of the military, mainly because getting into the military police requires you to be one of the top students. But in order to join the Survey Corps, you need to be very brave, as it's a very dangerous line of employment. Their main duty is taking care of the defenses on the wall, and this includes patrolling the wall, repairing it, and improving it. When the first attack on the wall happened, the Garrison fared only slightly better than the military police, but they were still considered lazy, undisciplined, and unreliable. However, since then, the Garrison has decided to refocus their efforts, and they've become a disciplined, innovative, tactical, and strategic unit. Their main strategy for a potential breach of the wall is setting the Garrison up into three separate internal units. The Vanguard, which is the frontline defense, is stationed at the rear end of the city, and they control the cannons as well as start the evacuation of the citizens. The next line of defense is the Middle Guard, which is made up of the most junior members of the Garrison, and they are only tasked with fighting the Titans that make their way through the Vanguard, so they don't get in the way of the other two branches. The final squad is the Rearguard, and they are made up of the most senior and skilled members of the Garrison. Their main task is the safety of all of the civilians, as well as making sure the gate holds at the next wall. The Garrison is the second most reliable branch of the military, which leads us to the third and last branch of the military, the Survey Corps. They are considered the most elite soldiers because they have direct contact with Titans. While we've seen bits and pieces of the other factions in the anime and manga, this is the unit that we follow for the most part. They are in charge of exploration and reclaiming Titan-infested lands for humanity. And after the Titans breached the wall, they had the situation somewhat under control, so they were also tasked with research and observation of the Titans. Regardless, the Survey Corps is considered the best of the three, and they are the least financed thanks to the military police and the bureaucrats. Because of this, however, it makes them the most humble soldiers who are not in it for the money, but for the betterment of humanity. And anyone is allowed to join the Survey Corps, provided they are brave. They have a great formation in order to avoid unnecessary battles, and they take out the Titans relatively fast, which has led to some great tactics, such as one that we see quite often when the scouts fire a red flare if a Titan is in the path. All of the other members will then fire a red flare as well so that the commander can see what's going on. He will then fire a green flare in the direction of a new path to avoid the fight, and everyone else will then fire in that direction as well. But in the case of a deviant Titan, it attacks the middle of the group, and they will fire a black flare in order to take out that Titan as fast as possible. This tactic has actually lowered the Survey Corps' casualties by 30%. The Survey Corps is the best branch of the military, despite their lack of funds and small numbers. This is some of the information of the military factions in Attack on Titan, but what are some of the things that you would like to learn about in Attack on Titan? Leave your thoughts down below, and I'll see you next time right here at CTV.